Hey guys, and welcome back to Monka, where stupid shit ensues, but today I finished watching an anime, so I thought I would talk about it. Now, the anime I finished watching, well, I didn't finish watching it today, in fact, I finished watching it yesterday. It didn't take me very long to finish, but I finished watching Sword Art Online, so I felt like I kind of wanted to talk about it. And before getting into it, I want to mention the fact that I finished Sword Art Online, like, the first, original run of Sword Art Online. This is not going to be talking about Sword Art Online 2 or Sword Art Online Alicization and all of that. It's going to be just talking about the first 25 episodes of Sword Art Online. I'm currently watching Sword Art Online 2. I started that yesterday after I finished the original. So eventually I'll talk about Sword Art Online 2, but for now this is just for the original 25 episodes of Sword Art Online. Now the original Sword Art was a light novel written by Rike Kawahara, and it was adapted into an anime by Aniplex, I believe, in 2013, and originally had its run in 2013. The series runs for, or at least the original first season runs for 25 episodes divided into two arcs. One is called the Eingrad arc, which runs for 15 episodes, and then the final 10 episodes are the Alfheim arc. For the long and short of my opinion on Sword Art Online, I really fucking liked it, or at least I really liked the first 15 episodes, and I'll get kind of into that. I really liked the first story arc. It is absolutely amazing and fucking gripping as all hell. Unfortunately, the last 10 episodes involving the Alfheim arc are a lot weaker in my opinion, but it's still good. But it's just following up the original 15 episodes of the Eingrad arc. It just cannot match it at all, but it's absolutely worth watching in my opinion. Whether or not the rest of the series with Sword Art Online 2 and Sword Art Alicization will really be worth watching is to be found out. I don't know yet, but breaking it down, there's a lot to talk about, to be honest. Most of it will come down to this story, but breaking down the actual art in music, I really like the art style, and it really shows that they actually put in a lot of effort into animating it and everything. Due to the fact that it's only 25 episodes, you don't really have to, frame fib and shit and repeat frames, and so everything is very unique in its art style. It looks good as well. It's a really good looking anime, and honestly, I can't really complain about anything visually. It's just a really visually good anime. A lot of times it felt almost kind of like a movie with the animation style and really the way the story is told. But I'll get into that when we talk about stories and characters. But now the sound and music design is really good as well. I feel like the sound design works really well, and the music is really good. It really helps the anime out a lot in moments where in the first 15 episodes, a lot of the moments are very tense. The anime has a very tense atmosphere throughout it, and the music really helps with that tension. It makes you feel the tension of everything going on in the anime. It's really good, and the music in general is just really good. I like the openers, I like the closers, everything about it was good. So in terms of music, it was really good as well. Now in terms of voice acting, I watched the English dubs. Sometimes I watch in Japanese, sometimes I watch it with English dubs. It just depends on how I'm feeling. The English dubs are pretty good, to be honest. I can't complain about them. There's nothing really to bitch about. The voice actors are really good. They do their job. I mean, it's just a really good dub all around. I didn't really feel like any of the voice actors were weak like some English dubs where you get the main characters are really well voice acted, but some of the side characters aren't. All around, all the voice actors really felt like they came in and did their part, so I really can't complain about the voice acting as well. It was really good. Now the meat and potatoes, of course, of any anime, and of course in Sword Art, is the story and the characters. I'm going to break this up into two parts to talk about the story because I feel like it really has to be broken up into two parts. I'm going to talk about the Eingrad arc, which is the first 15 episodes, and then the Alfheim arc, which is the last 10 episodes, because I feel like they both had to be mentioned separately due to my opinions on them varying pretty good. I have a pretty good variance in my opinion on both arcs, just because one I feel is really strong, the other one is kind of a disappointment following up the first one, but I digress. Speaking on the first arc, it's called the Eingrad arc, runs for the first 15 episodes, like I've said 1,000 times. It is absolutely some of the best 15 episodes of anime that I've watched in a really long time. It is fucking good. The fact of the matter is the story is actually pretty familiar, and I actually kind of recognize the trope from either movies that have adapted it or video games that have adapted it, but pretty much the trope is that there's a game released called Sword Art Online that uses advanced VR technology that you strap onto your head, and what essentially happens is when people log in for the launch day, they can't log out and they get trapped in the game. And to do the VR being so advanced, if you die in the game, that can send via nerve gear, which is what the headset's called, can send a signal to your brain that essentially activates a kill switch, killing you if you die in the game. It's a trope that is honestly now has been adapted into a lot of things. I don't know if Sword Art was the one to start the trope, but I absolutely know that it was like, it had to be one of the first at least, and it's a really interesting take, at least from the angle of Sword Art. Like I said, it's familiar nowadays, but it's really interesting to see the way Sword Art executes it. It's pretty intriguing, to be honest, because that setting and trope really creates a set of tension, but Sword Art Online does it really well with the tension. Like throughout the first 15 episodes, you feel the dread and tension of everyone in Sword Art trapped under the fear that if they die in the game, they die in real life. Like, the tension is absolutely there, and when someone dies, they do it perfectly in just executing that dread that you feel, knowing that you see them die in the game, they die in real life. The sense of dread from the first 15 episodes and the sense of like despair is absolutely incredible. Like, I cannot explain it any other way. It is done so well that it's just like the fact that it just like kind of dies off after that Eingrad arc is kind of disappointing, but the first 15 episodes of this anime are absolutely worth watching. They follow a character called Kirito, and it follows him during his adventures through Sword Art Online to beat the game essentially. Pretty much the only way for everyone to get out of the game is to clear 100 levels and beat the game. That's how everyone logs out essentially, and really that first 15 episodes following Kirito and his build as a character and just watching everything progress is just incredible. And just the setting of it being based in a VR MMO just works out so well. Like, it just feels kind of interesting, like having like this almost like it feels real, but you know it's an MMO type of ordeal. And the fact that it's just the tension and the little details included, like in like they use like video game details and stuff, are really cool, honestly. And just the setting in general for this is just a really good setting. Now, the way the first 15 episodes progress is what kind of sets it weirdly off to the last 10 episodes, because the first 15 episodes progress over a series of 2 years. Because the Eingrad arc takes place over 2 years, it happens all in 15 episodes. Now, it doesn't feel rushed or anything, at least not for the most part. I can say it feels a little bit rushed, but not horrifically rushed. But episodes at some points will skip ahead like 3 months at a time, if not even like 6 months at a time. So it progresses really fast. It feels almost like a documentary style with the first 15 episodes, which I don't mind at all. It tells the story really well. I feel like the story there as well is really good. The progression of Kirito as a character is pretty cool. I like that as well. Honestly, I have no complaints about the first 15 episodes. I love them. They are absolutely amazing. All of the action and flashiness is awesome. The sense of dread and despair, like I mentioned, is just absolutely incredible in the arc that I can't even get over, honestly. That sense of having something to lose and dread is something that a lot of anime I feel like really misses, but this anime absolutely nails it. So for the first 15 episodes of the Eingrad arc, this anime is absolutely amazing. Now, for the last 10 episodes, which is the Alfheim arc, my opinions differ quite a bit, honestly, because it really doesn't match the first 15 episodes at all. And honestly, watching it after the first 15, it just feels disappointing because there's just so little at risk that it just feels kind of pointless, honestly. It falls flat, to be honest, is what I'm looking for. It really just doesn't feel like that sense of dread and despair isn't there, and also the pacing is scaled back quite a bit. It's not happening over the course of years, it's happening maybe over the course of like months, even if not months, maybe even weeks. So the time scale is scaled back a significant amount, which really makes the second arc, the Alfheim arc, really just feel jarring when you're just watching it, because it just changes the pace and tone and everything so drastically for the last 10 episodes that it's just jarring for someone who's just watching it through and just going like, well, damn, that just kind of like changed up everything. Really, the sense of despair and like dread disappear from the last 10 episodes, and that like actual feasible risk and threat just disappear because there's no real risk of dying in Alfheim Online, at least for like the first 7 episodes, and then the last 3 they introduce something that could introduce a risk of death in Alfheim, but that's it. Other than that, it's just kind of like a MMO type of ordeal. It's good, like, don't get me wrong, the last 10 episodes are good and I really enjoyed watching them, and like the flashiness silliness and everything is still really good, but it just loses a sense of something like Risk or anything. It feels a lot more like they did a lot of character building during the last 10 episodes, but they did enough of that in the first 10, or in the first 15 I should say, that it doesn't really feel necessary. They feel like introducing a new character, which is Kirito's sister, and that kind of feels like a weird, just kind of, I don't know, the last 10 episodes are really weird. It just follows kind of this idea of a damsel in distress situation, which I don't mind at all, but it just really just doesn't feel like it matches up to the first 15 episodes. I won't lie, during the first 15 I was like verbalizing a lot. Like when I watch shows like alone, obviously I kind of like verbalize and go like, damn dude, and like whoop his ass, and damn dude. Like, I was doing that a lot during the first 15 episodes, and like I was getting like hyped up and everything. I feel like a lot of the hype dies down for the last 10 episodes just due to the fact that it's just really not there anymore. I just didn't really feel the last 10 episodes of the Alfheim arc. The risk and dread and despair and the threat of actually something happening just kind of disappear, which really just sucks all the momentum out of the last 10 episodes. That being said, it's worth watching since they keep a part of the story of the Eingrad arc kind of unsettled until the last 10 episodes, so it's worth watching all the way through, but it certainly is a disappointment compared to the first 15 episodes. So in conclusion, my opinion on Sword Art Online is that honestly, it's a really good anime, honestly, and I feel like it gets ragged on for like the wrong reasons, especially for the first 15 episodes. Those first 15 episodes are like certified, like I can't even lie, that shit is like revered for a good reason. Like it's really fucking good. It's a good first 15 episodes. Like everything about them is just absolutely amazing. I love the documentary style. I can't believe like more animes don't do that. Like that almost documentary style of like how they do it over like, instead of doing like a really filled out anime, they just do it 2 years within 15 episodes, but they still tell the story really well. It works really well, and really, like I mentioned, it's just really hyped during the first 15 episodes, and that sense of dread and despair and the risk of an actual threat is just something that really is like gripping. Like the first 15 episodes are gripping is the best word. Like you'll be like glued to the TV for the first 15 episodes during the Eingrad arc, but during the Alfheim arc, during the last 10 episodes, it just isn't nearly as gripping and is just kind of a disappointment following up the Eingrad arc. Overall though, both arcs are still absolutely worth watching, and I absolutely recommend watching Sword Art Online. Like I said, I've heard Sword Art Online get bagged on by a lot of people saying that it's trash, but honestly, it's a good anime, and it absolutely is worth watching the first season for it at least. So if you've seen Sword Art Online, you've been like, I don't know, I would absolutely recommend watching the first 25 episodes of Sword Art Online. Is Sword Art Online 2 worth it, or is Sword Art Online Alicization worth it? I don't know. I'll give you my opinion on that when I get around to those, but at least for the first season and the first 25 episodes, it's absolutely worth watching. But thank you very much for watching. Until next time, I'll see you. Stay chill.